back to the show. You've probably heard of them by now. They're called laneway houses, and we're going to tell you a little bit more about them.
Absolutely. Our next guest is definitely an expert in laneway housing because he's been practicing and applying his craft in smaller buildings around Vancouver for quite some time. Jake Fry is joining us from Small Works. How are you, Jake?
I'm good.
So what is a laneway house?
Well, and the easiest definition, a laneway house is a small domicile put in a regular Vancouver or regular lot anywhere where you take down a garage and you put in a small residence.
Now, I was talking about you sort of practicing your trade or perfecting your trade on smaller buildings on people's lots for quite some time before. You were doing artists and sort of like...
Yeah, so I started the company about 6 years ago, and I'd always had this attraction to small spaces and that beautiful kind of courtyard you can make in your backyard. And with that in mind, I started the company initially because we couldn't do housing, or where we could was really far and few between. So we were making studios for people in backyards or libraries.
Did you see laneway housing coming, or were you helping to push for it, or was this just sort of a gift from above for what you do?
It was a little of both. I really thought that this was something that Vancouver would be a great thing for Vancouver. You know, you could keep all the neighborhoods we have in Vancouver. Yeah. Obviously, the population is increasing, and we don't want to use up our agricultural.
And people want to make use of their space if they have some extra.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the rules changed basically. And when did this happen so that people can actually do this and have other residences on their properties?
Yeah. Well, we started about advocating for it about 3 years ago, and finally it came through with the current municipal government around, well, basically a year ago. So it's been for the last year we can actually legally apply for these and build them in Vancouver.
Okay, we're going to look at some pictures now. The first couple photos that we have are some of your work that you did before the laneway houses. So tell us about this one here. I know, it's beautiful. What is this?
Well, this is used as a little library for someone in their backyard, and there's a garage and a library. So these were sort of some of the earlier ones. So people who had bigger lots or had a lot of small home could build small little, spaces could be used for anything.
Yeah, the next one we have, I think, is
same idea.
Yeah,
this is fantastic.
Yeah, so this is there's a couple. They love cooking, and this is their outdoor kitchen for the summertime.
That's nice.
Nice,
awesome It is nice. Okay, let's move on to the laneway houses themselves. Tell us what we're looking at in this picture.
Well, so in this instance, this is sort of your basic example of a lane house. So here you had the footprint of what is a garage now made into a single car garage plus about a 500 square foot residence.
So they've still got a garage in there.
Yeah, and this house matches, as you see here, matches.
It matches the main house.
The main house.
Oh, that's really interesting. And I think that's one of the things when I was researching you coming on is you guys have a flexibility in your planning and your ability and your skill set to be able to customize for people as well. So it can either look the same as their house or be complementary to their house and sort of fit into the area and the lot.
Yeah, and that's what we did. We looked at Vancouver, looked at the different type of architecture in Vancouver, and there's lots of arts and crafts. There's some real contemporary stuff people like to do that you might see in Dwell magazine. And then we had this wonderful vernacular of buildings that were going up in the 50s and 60s, things that,
style.
Things that Arthur Erickson were doing, or Jeffrey Massey, people like that. And that's Vancouver and its heart and bones in many respects. So we do buildings like that as well. But people can customize them and like them.
This is one of my favorites here.
Yeah.
What's this?
Well, this one is an interesting project. This is one of our standard homes, but this is a project we did with SFU for the Olympics this year.
Okay.
And so this house, which was interesting, is this house actually was able to generate all its electricity inside the house.
Well, Jake, that's one of the things that you guys are doing and really focusing on, because one of the attractions of laneway housing for a city and as a civic policy is eco-density, getting more people in the neighborhoods, maintaining that neighborhood feel, but using the space and maximizing it. And you've taken that to the environmental aspect as well, and making sure that these houses are sustainable, they're well built, so that they're not harming the ecology.
Well, we worked really hard on a couple of facets. One was we really thought, well, one of the first important things is how do you build a house? Let's go back a little bit, because we still build houses the way we did 120 years ago in this city. So the first thing we did I did was really look at what was happening in Europe, Scandinavia, some of those models there, and basically took our building practices off of that. So what we did was to build it in a factory, but at the same time wanting to keep that custom feel rather than making a box and shipping it out, one size fits all like a trailer. We actually do it in panels. We have a proprietary system where they bolt together, so we can make different houses but keep the same technology.
Yeah, nice, which is much more efficient.
And they look great on the inside too, and we've got some interior photographs, and you do customize the interior as well, and this really shows how you can maximize the space. How many square feet is this one here on the inside?
Well, it's great that you're showing this slide, because this illustrates how large they can be on the inside. This is the biggest one we can do under the Vancouver building bylaw.
So this would be on a 50-foot lot or bigger?
Yeah, 50-foot lot, 750 square feet. This is interesting. It's very typical of our finishing, one thing we do around sustainable practices is we actually finish that bathroom as you see it in the factory and ship out the whole unit in one piece.
That's crazy. We've got time-lapse photography of that happening, so they're going to run that now. Maybe while we're looking at that, tell us, if you're a homeowner and you decide that you do have the extra space and you can have one of these and you want to have somebody else living there, it works for you, is there a lot of red tape, or how does one go about it?
Well, it depends how you do it. I mean, certainly what we've done is to try and take all that pressure off the homeowner. So they basically come to us, we get them the building permit, we do all the design work, we personalize the building for them, and then we take care of all the facets of construction. So for us, it's our real turnkey one-stop. And then typically someone would be with us for 2 to 3 months to get their building permit, and then the building's up within 16 to 18 weeks from the day we break ground to the day they're in there.
So fast.
Just bring in your bag of groceries 2.5 months later.
And how are you seeing people utilize them? Because I'm sure people that are watching are thinking maybe revenue, or maybe they've got an elder family member, or they just want extended family there, or whatever it is. How are you seeing people actually use them?
This is really a great question, because it goes back to the same time, what's the demographic of the people? And for us, now that we've been building and we're into sort of over a dozen buildings now, it's been across the board. But if there was a common thread, it tends to be around people using the property to enhance their family's lifestyle and their lifestyle, whether it's income from rental, whether it's an alternative form for an aging parent, or a way to facilitate a child moving onto the property. We even have some customers who've been looking at sort of joint tenancy, where two people will buy a property together, hold it together in one title, which is
so you can afford to buy something in Vancouver.
You can have your own house ostensibly, maybe 30% of what you'd pay for a property.
Just
now.
one last question, as someone who owns a home, what happens to the shared space in the middle? I mean, does that have to be a shared space? Can you have it separate? Is that up to the customer?
You draw a border.
Can you put a big fence?
Well, it's interesting. The city would like you to draw a border and have a little courtyard. But to be honest, I've always thought that why not start using that front yard a bit more?
Yeah. Amen.
It's so funny,
like,
we
it's just
never
sitting
see
there doing
people on their
nothing.
patios or in their front yards here in Vancouver, but it's what everybody wants to have. But it's a very social thing.
Yeah, and I often thought, if you had properties that were on the north side of a street, why not the principal residence has a front yard to put in a nice hedge and a garden, and the back people can use the back. But typically, they're sharing the backyard, and often the laneway house, if it's for a parent to have a little terrace, or it's for a renter, they'll kind of allocate some area for that person to have some private spot, and then they use their backyard as they normally would.
Brilliant.
Well, good stuff. Thanks so much, Jake. If you want to find out more about Smallworks, you can go to their website if you're interested in starting a laneway house.
Yeah, smallworks.ca, and they can guide you through the whole process.
I'm moving into yours, right?
Thanks, Jake.
Are we drawing a border?
Big fence.
Okay,
I like the
perfect.
idea of a big fence.
Perfect, me too.
Because I like to suntan in my naturals. Just kidding. We're going to take a break. So it's for your safety as well as mine. We're going to take a break when we come.